I am Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, Lanny.
Here we go. Yeah,
It's
once
November.
again. Yeah, what episode is this?
We might be getting close to 390.
So you think we're going to make it to 400?
We may make it.
Well, we need to throw some kind of celebration.
And give away a bunch of prizes.
We should.
We
Like
should
400.
clean out Toxie's closet.
We should.
We missed the mark at 350, but
Well, 400, yeah.
It's
So
coming
maybe
up.
you think there's 100 things in Toxie's closet we could give away?
Probably.
I think so, too. That's a
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah.
Well, the Nosler Gamekeeper giveaway is actually over with, and we have a winner.
Absolutely. Mark Liddell.
What was that?
Let's redo that
Are
one.
the horns broke?
Yes.
Mark called yesterday, and it took me a while to prove to him that it wasn't some kind of scam.
Oh, really?
Like, I've won contests before, and it ended up being a scam.
No, we're not scamming.
Yeah. So
No.
Mark's out of Michigan, which is a great. I'm happy somebody,
Somebody in Michigan listens to the podcast.
We get pigeonholed as being a Southern podcast, but
Yeah.
we're out there for everybody.
Yeah, we're rural people.
We are. If you're a hunter,
We're for you.
paying attention
That's
to you.
right.
So-
If you love wildlife, we're here
Even
for
if
you.
you're up in Maine, like
yeah,
way up there.
Yeah, even those Mainers, we gotta watch those guys.
So Mark, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Mark Liddell won the Nosler rifle, the Leopold scope, some Nosler ammunition,
A Nosler suppressor,
a bunch of good
a
stuff.
heck of a rig. There's no doubt about that. So
Multi-generational
yeah.
Yep.
rifle.
So congratulations, and we're definitely going to do something big for the 400th episode. We're going to give away hundreds of prizes. So
Yeah. Y'all pay
get
it.
ready to pay attention to that and get signed up.
I was thinking maybe Bobby take somebody on a turkey hunt.
Well,
I think that'd be a great idea.
Dudley, did you just take a nap? 'Cause
I did. I took a 15-minute nap.
He's
My
feeling
gosh.
good.
Yeah.
Set an alarm.
I didn't know that was something we could do around here, was take naps.
Well, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
All right, so let's stay busy. What about blood on the biologic? I got a couple of them, and I'll get it started. So this one's pretty special. Sam White, who lives here in town, his granddaughter Caroline killed a giant buck. I mean, it was a fantastic buck. They're all excited about that. So congrats to her and to Sam. And then, through our relationship with Bear Archery and the Gamekeeper bow, Jeff Pease traveled to Kansas and killed a 181-inch monster. It's unbelievable. David Westmoreland, he was hunting with David. You remember David?
I remember David.
But this deer is huge, and I know Jeff's excited about it.
181.
That's a big deer.
And he was hunting with David.
Yes.
Golly.
With his bow.
We should call David.
I'd rather not call him. But I may need to call him and get on his hunting list.
Oh, that's exactly what we were going to call him.
And then I got one last one. Gray Simpson, 6 years old, killed his first deer. Got sent some pictures in this morning to be on the biologic bulletin board, and just a great picture of Gray. And congrats.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's love to see those youngins getting on there.
I've got one. Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So Rowan Shockley, grandson of Roger Petty, a great friend of the Mossy Oak brand. He shot a deer after a 3-year chase. They had named him Big Mo, big old 8-point, one of the oldest looking big bodied deer I've ever seen come out of the South. Really impressive deer. So
What do you weigh?
I don't know what he weighed. I didn't weigh him, but just a big old looking deer.
Yeah.
So congrats to you.
Well, that's good. All right, you got anything else? Anybody? Lanny, you look like you got something. So, look, moving on to our guest today. I'm not saying we're at the bottom of the barrel now, but the bottom of the barrel ain't real far away. We've got a guy. We've been trying to get Mr. Bob Humphrey There he is right there. We've been trying to get him for months and trying to
Long
work it out.
time Mossy Oak friend.
He's a busy guy.
Yes.
He's an outdoor writer. He travels all over. He fishes. He hunts.
Yep.
He's got an article in this issue of Gamekeeper about deer social groups.
I wouldn't know because I never have to edit any of his articles because they're always perfect.
There you go.
There's never a spelling error or punctuation or anything. So
Well, we go back with Bob a long way. I mean, he was with us before Gamekeepers even.
Yes, he was.
So
Been around a long time.
a long-time friend of the brand, so just proud to have him on today.
Yeah, Bob, welcome.
Well, thanks very much. It's a pleasure to be on. I don't get to the shows anymore, the ATA and the SHOT Show, so I miss our annual visits in person. This is a real treat.
Yeah, we do. It was always good to see you for sure.
Bob,
He's like Gamekeeper North up there.
Yeah. And so you're in Maine. What part of Maine are you in, Bob?
I'm in southern Maine. I'm about 20 miles north of Portland.
Yeah. And so do you live there by choice? Was this Maine like, this is where I'm from, this is where I want to live? Or did you throw a dart at a board and decide to move there?
Work sort of coaxed me up this way. I was working at a National Wildlife Refuge down on Cape Cod, and the fellow that was my supervisor moved up to Maine. I took over his job as refuge manager, and then he started a consulting company up here, and I was between jobs, and he invited me to come up and work on a project, and that project led to another project, and that led to a job, which led to a career.
How about that?
So Bob, you're a wildlife biologist, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, by trade. So, and a fantastic writer.
Yeah, he is. But Bob, I've got a bunch of different ways we can start and we can go with this. But when we think about, you started talking about the refuge up there. Could you take us back? What are we talking about? The 1920s or 30s? How far back are we talking about, Bob?
Well, I don't go quite that far back, but that would have been the 80s.
Okay.
1980s.
I remember
Fresh out of school.
Yeah, I remember the 1980s. What have you seen change in the hunting and the landscape of hunting since then? You see it going in a better direction? Do you see the conservation being more important to people? Could you kind of speak to that?
Yeah, I can approach that from several angles. I did a lecture at Colby College last week, and one of the things I've noted was at no other time in my life have I seen hunting viewed in a more favorable light by the general public.
All right.
We for years and years we battled the antis. We kept our heads down, we kept quiet, and we just went about our business. But now it's like we're mainstream. Regrettably, part of that is due to reality television, but don't look a gift horse in the mouth. They've done us a great service because they made hunting cool. The whole locavore movement has helped. And I think within the hunting community, I see hunters are a lot more educated and a lot more sophisticated now. There's still the dirty brown collared go out on Saturday and walk around in the woods with the rifle type guys. But I think most of the hunters that I encounter now, they're asking questions that 25, 30 years ago, nobody asked. That, age, herd structure, social structure within the herd, things like that. When to shoot a doe, which buck to pass up. Really positive. And I think hunting license numbers may be a little bit flat, but I see one area of growth is the female segment. And lately, I've seen a really strong push towards youth hunters, recruiting youngsters into the community. So all positive from my perspective.
Really good to hear that. We talk about it often around here, how thank goodness the how hunters have defined themselves has changed over the years, because it was this, lone predator, big buck assassin kind of a mentality. And now, Bob, I'm echoing what you're saying. The younger guys are more in tune and are like, I'm actively participating in, this this act of conservation and with this natural environment, and are very inquisitive about it. They want to learn more than even we did, back when we were young. So it's really good to see that. It's good to hear you say that too.
Yeah. Hunting seems to sell itself these days, and people seem to, I guess the more educated they get on it, the more accepting of it they are, because we've never really been wrong,
Yeah, that's right.
And there a lot of naysayers are finally figuring it out. What about at school? You said you just did a presentation at Colby. What do you think about, like in the outdoor departments and stuff? Do they still have a large population of hunting students, or do you think that's dwindling a bit?
Well, I'm a little bit out of touch with that, but the class, I would say maybe 15% of the class that I spoke to were hunters. It probably depends. If you're in a wildlife school, that's going to be higher. But I think in general, it's probably lower. And there's a number of reasons, but this is a big one. People spend a lot more time doing this than they do this.
Looking at that phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've noticed the same thing. And I guess we can just hope that once they get to school, then that maybe they'll learn about hunting. It's a popular thing for people to get into, wildlife biology, environmental stuff, hydrology. But yeah, we've kind of talked with other folks, and it seems that you don't have quite as many hunters going into that these days. So hopefully that'll go up soon.
Yeah, and we're seeing folks like Olivia that started out in animal science and then got introduced to hunting and have really embraced it too. So it's good to see recruitment going on the both sides.
Yeah. So why don't we do this? Why don't we start this thing with Dudley's rapid fire?
Oh yeah.
And Bob, we'll get to know you a little bit better. Dudley, I'll ask you some questions, and you just respond as quick as you can.
All right, so I'm going to ask you about 10 questions real quick. I need a good quick answer. Are you ready?
Fire at will.
All right. What is your favorite outdoor-related quarterly magazine?
Gamekeepers.
Hey,
that?
amazing.
Good question, Dudley.
Second question. Do wild turkeys exist in Maine?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say no. Okay. Grouse hunt or woodcock?
Woodcock.
Would you rather catch a big bluefin tuna or shoot a good Maine buck?
Ooh.
That's a tough one.
Depends on the season.
Yeah, we'll go to the next one. What is the largest tuna you've ever caught?
It's about 695 pounds.
Boy, that's some good eating right
That's
there.
a lot of meat. Name your favorite deer browse in your area. Most important deer browse.
Red maple.
Red maple.
Lobster bisque or lobster roll?
Lobster roll.
Maine Cabin Masters or Northwoods Law?
Northwoods Law.
Have you ever drawn a moose tag?
Yes.
What is the coldest temperature you've experienced in your lifetime?
Well below zero, probably in the neighborhood of approaching 20 below.
All right, that hurts.
Yeah, that's painful.
And last but not least, name your favorite hunting destination away from home.
I'm going to say Texas.
Texas.
That's a good one.
Everything's better in Texas.
That's right. Good ones.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah, well, you can't ask about a moose. Were you successful on your moose hunt?
Yeah, I've actually been on half a dozen or so. It took me about, I think, 27 years to get picked. I finally got drawn.
Wow.
And it was a rough hunt. It's a 6-day hunt, and I killed my moose at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. So 11th hour.
Oh, that's pretty good. We've never. Have you ever eaten moose?
I haven't, but I want to.
Yeah, no.
It smells pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
If anybody's listening, send us
Some moose meat.
Yeah, send us down some moose meat in a mason jar. We want to try it out.
It's good stuff. They're a big
if I
animal.
could shoot a moose every year, I would never shoot another deer.
Wow, it's that good.
That's how good it is. Yeah.
That's saying a lot.
I'd sign up for that.
Yeah.
27 years, I better get to working on it.
So you drew. It took 27 years, but now you've drawn it at least 6 other times.
No, my son has been twice. My first hunt was actually, I was a sub permittee. So when you get drawn, you can appoint a sub. I was a sub on that. And then he was drawn. I think he was early teens. Then I got drawn. And then last year, my son was drawn again. And then this year, a friend of his was drawn. So we went up, and it's a really social hunt. We had 2 trucks together in tandem, 5 or 6 guys, and scouting and reporting, and it's a lot of fun, and it's certainly helpful when you get one down to have 5 or 6 guys to help get it out.
Yeah, those things are huge.
Are y'all calling them?
We've had the October hunt, so we've tried and not been very successful. September is better. That's the rut, and they're a lot more susceptible to calling then.
Yeah. So primarily spot and stalk kind of situations?
Yeah. A lot of, it's all backwoods log roads. So a lot of scouting, and then get out and hike through the woods, hit the high ground, get up, look, listen, call.
Well, they're a big animal.
They're huge.
Yeah.
Have you been moose hunting?
I have.
You've
Killed one in Newfoundland.
That's right.
Sure
That's
did.
right.
So, Bob, could you tell us, take us back to a young Bob Humphrey. How did you get interested in the outdoors? What sparked your flame?
Initially, I would say it was more on the marine side. We always had a family boat, so we would go to the islands, and parents would dump me off on the beach, and I'd play in the tidal pools and catch crabs and minnows and turn over rocks, and it just piqued a curiosity that never died. Fishing. Whenever I caught a fish and I didn't know what it was, I have to go to the library and look it up and figure out what it was and what it did and why it did what it did. And I really didn't have a hunting mentor, so that was sort of I picked it up on my own. It just seemed like a natural progression from on the water to in the woods, and just once I got a taste of it, I couldn't get enough.
Yeah, we hear that a lot. Mm-hmm. We sure do. So, Bob, before we start, we want to talk to you about some deer hunting tactics that you are really good at. There's a family from Maine that I've just always heard about these folks, and I think years ago I may even got to meet one of them, but I may be mispronounced. But I think it's called the Benoits.
Benoits.
Yeah, what would they were famous for being trackers? Is that how most people hunt there in Maine? Hunt deer?
No, I would say probably in the northern half to northern third of the state. That's the most popular method. But it's kind of a specialty. As you get further south, you just can't. These guys they'll ride around until they find a track and then get out and follow it. And they may follow it all day. They may follow it 5 or 10 miles. You just can't do that down where I am. Small property ownership, you're going after property after property after property, and it just wouldn't work out down here. But up in the North Woods, it's mostly industrial timberland, and for the most part, it's open to the public. So that's what they do. They hit the trail and follow it until it comes to its logical conclusion.
Have you ever hunted that way? Have you done that?
I have. My first real serious attempt, we had a family sister-in-law, and her husband had a camp, so we went up, tried it, fresh snow, did the whole thing, and I lasted about a day and a half until I found a tree stand. That was it. I was done.
Yeah. That's Lanny, have you ever thought about, just getting on a track and just keep walking and walking until you finally either jump him or?
Yeah. Honestly, that's the way my dad, taught us to hunt, because there wasn't any whitetails as there are now. So that's what he would describe it to me as doing that when I was young. It's like, Dad, how'd you do when you were young? He's like, we found a track and we stayed on it till it got too late or too dark to hunt, or we found it. It is interesting. And I do think the art of, I would call that still hunting. And the art of still hunting, I'm not going to say, I think it needs to have some more importance than it does. Now, it is, you're very limited. You've got to have a lot of land access, I guess is the best way to put it. It's hard to still hunt on 40 acres. Or you do, you get done pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then it may not be a very good hunting
then it
spot
might not
for
be
a
very
while
good.
after
So you
that.
have to, the conditions have to be right. You have to have the right access to land. But I will say, it is my favorite way to hunt. Now, I don't necessarily have to get on a track and follow it anymore because there's so many tracks everywhere. You just kind of ease with the wind in your face. But the art of spotting and stalking, especially white-tailed deer on the ground, is one of my favorite things.
I would agree with you.
Yeah,
Sure would. So, Bob, let's turn our attention. Let's talk about scrapes. And you're a real seasoned deer hunter, and you hunt a lot of different states. But let's talk about looking at sign and reading sign, and what do scrapes mean to you, and how excited do you get when you see fresh scrapes?
It depends. There's a lot of different types of scrapes. A buck may be just starting to feel his oats, maybe encounters another buck, and like an angry bull, he paws the ground and then moves on and never goes back to that spot. But when you find that scrape with the overhanging branch, then it's like, okay, now we're going to pay a little bit more attention. And, I've been hunting the same property now for 35 years. And when I start to, I almost know right where to go and look. And if there's a scrape there, it's okay, he's back again, or his son's back, or his grandson is back. This is something to keep track of because it's going to be here every year.
Yeah. So you make a good point about there's different kinds of scrapes. Where we are, our rut, we're probably 6 weeks away.
Yeah, mid-December, mid to late.
But our friends in the Midwest, it's getting
They're done.
right now. Well, no, it's.
Okay.
I think the 13th is like one of the peak days. November 13th is one of the peak rut days in Missouri, Illinois, and that Iowa. That.
So we should call Mark Drury and see what he's doing right now.
Yeah, well, he's probably won't pick up the phone. But those scrapes have probably kind of dried up a little bit, and those deer, they're with those. But where we are, we're kind of. I'm beginning to see a few scrapes around, and it's just going to get more intense. So, it is exciting to see them and know that they're there. But I want to ask you about we've talked about them before, some other guys, about these community scrapes. When occasionally you just find one that's the size of a Volkswagen, a little bit larger than there's just something magic going on. Do you find, on this place you've been hunting for 35 years, have you ever found something like that that's just like every buck in that area is visiting that scrape?
I haven't on my home turf, but I have in other places not too far away. My property is kind of different. It just doesn't seem to hold bucks. There are does there, but it's not until right about now the bucks start to show up.
That's nice.
Well,
I've got the same. I've got a lot of does. I haven't seen many bucks.
yeah. Well, what do you attribute that to, Bob? Is there, being a biologist, have you got a thought on why?
I don't. I'm not aggressive, but I do actively manage the habitat. This is Maine. This is the Maine woods. It's very thick, so you don't have to create bedding cover. Pretty much everything out there is bedding cover. There's no shortage of water. Probably could do a little bit better on the food, but my soils are so wet that there are years when I can't even get in there with equipment. So I guess it's just it's a toss-up. I don't know, but it seems it's gotten better over the last, say, 4 or 5 years. I'm starting to see more bucks regularly on my cameras. Heavy hunting pressure too, which doesn't help.
Yeah.
So do you actively hunt over scrapes, or do you have a different technique, or does it just vary?
It really varies. This year I started out with bow season hunting over scrapes, and it's usually, they shed velvet, they start to separate a little bit, the bachelor groups start to break up, then you start to see the scrapes, and I think there's a pretty good period there right up until maybe right about now And as you folks say down south, it's fitting the bust right open. Once they get that first whiff of estrus, they don't need to go on the dating sites anymore. It's more like a singles bar.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So what's your favorite way to deer hunt, and what can you relate that to one of the states that you travel to regularly? Is there some style that you just fits you enjoy the best?
Part of it is age and maturity, but I've become a dedicated stump sitter. Give me a double ladder stand, and I'm happy. I like to get in quietly, get up, and be invisible. I'm silent. I'm all taking care of all my scent control, and I've done my homework, so I'm predicting that this is where I'm going to see a deer. That's my game. The eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, so the whole still hunting thing is just, I'll do it, but they usually see me long before I see them.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
That's the same way with me, and I have better eyesight than you. I'm probably just moving too much.
So through the years, you traveled and hunted all over the South. Is there one area that you just fell in love with?
Oh, well, I enjoy my time in Alabama when I go down and see our buddy Casey.
Oh, yeah.
And a big part of that is the companionship. Casey and Nelson and C.J. Davis, I get to go down and visit them and hang out. And if we get a few deer, that's great. And if not, we have a good time. And I'm seeing deer every day, which isn't always the case up here in Maine. That's sort of a favorite.
Target-rich environment. It's always good.
It's hard to imagine going deer hunting and not seeing any deer. Because, I've done it a bunch of times. But it's where we are in today's deer herd, you're liable to see 15.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if those days of being young and sitting in a stand, freezing to death, and not seeing anything, I don't think my kids have ever experienced that. I really don't. Between the stands and the heaters and everything else we do for them.
Yeah, we say it all the time, but it's amazing that we actually became hunters.
Exactly.
After all the...
Yeah. It's crazy that we still like to do this.
Yeah.
After how miserable it was at some point.
It sure has changed a lot. When I started out, bragging rights would go to somebody that came back to camp and said, I saw a deer. We're now, even now in Maine, I think we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 270,000 licensed hunters, and average success rate is probably about 20%.
Wow, that's low.
Yeah, it is low. So how big a live weight on a mature buck in Maine? What are we looking at there, you think? Just average.
On a mature buck, you're probably you're going to have to translate because we don't do live weight up here.
All right, dressed weight.
I would say dress weight, you're looking at on a mature buck, 4.5 or older, 180 to, it's not unusual for one of those big northern Maine bucks to dress out at 260, 270.
Wow.
Goodness, yeah, that's a
lot of deer burger there, Bobby.
Yeah, and a fawn is going to be 60, 70 pounds, and it's not unusual to shoot a doe dressed out that's going to dress out at 120 pounds, and a yearling, a spike or a forkhorn might be 125 to 140 pounds dressed.
So I'm looking at something here that says field dressed. You multiply it times 1.26 to get your live weight.
Oh, look at you with the formula.
Yeah, we need Mac's not here, so
yeah, you go.
I bet Bob would have told us that if we just asked him. But
so add about 25%.
Yeah, so when you come down to Alabama, these deer, they certainly don't have the body size your deer back at home have. That's you probably have to pay attention to what you're looking at.
It can be really challenging down in your neck of the woods or over in Texas. You see these deer, and they look massive because they have these big racks, and then you shoot it and you walk up and you're like, it's not as big as I thought it was.
That ground
It only
shrinkage.
weighs 90 pounds.
If you ever walk up on one that's bigger than you thought it was, you know you really got one.
Yeah, that doesn't happen very
No.
often. We call that ground shrinkage, Bob.
I don't know what outside of the ears is down there, but up here, you're looking at 18 inches.
We're about 16 here,
Spread.
I'd say.
I was going to say 15, so we're close. Yeah, they're just different. It really is. And it'll fool you when you start traveling and you go to Illinois or Iowa. The deer are bigger. Well, up where Todd is. Todd was supposed to join us today, but he's hunting with his daughter Veronica.
Oh, good for him.
So hopefully they're going to put some blood on the biologic. Yeah. So hey, while we're kind of hitting on Maine, Bob, you mentioned that you guys have a fall turkey season up there, and is that something that's like a coveted tag that people aspire to have, or are there many people participating in that hunt?
No, it's over the counter, 5 bird limit, either sex. It started, I don't know how many years ago. It started as I think a 1 bird, 1 month bow only season, and eventually they allowed shotguns, and then they kept expanding the time period and the geographic area. And like I said, 5 bird limit, either sex, plus 2 birds in the spring. But it never really caught on. There's a few hardcore guys and gals, but for the most part, it's October and people are bow hunting, people are duck hunting, people are bird hunting. The turkeys they get a mixed review up here in Maine. There's the hardcore, serious turkey hunters, and then there's a lot of people that would just assume we didn't have them.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is. They just don't know any better. Forgive them for what they do. But a fall turkey season, seems sacrilege to some people, and I can honor that, and especially allowing 5 in a season seems like a lot. We were talking about that earlier. I guess it just depends on the data. Like we have a pretty liberal quail harvest in Mississippi. I think it's 6 or 8 birds a day, and that doesn't make any sense. But we were talking to a biologist, Mark McConnell, about it, and he's like, well, nobody quail hunts anyway, and they usually only average maybe 1 or 2 a hunt at the most, so it doesn't really matter. Why would we waste the time to change the season? And I'm thinking it may be somewhat like that up in Maine. They have a 5-person limit, but most people aren't going to take out 5 birds. I guess maybe they're thinking, is the population just doing great up there?
Yeah. Winter's a big thing up here, and we've had enough mild winters now, and winter and spring. We've had up and down on the spring. We get some cold, rainy springs. We get some warm ones. I was really nervous when they came out with that 5 bird limit. I thought, okay, here we go. We're going to destroy our turkey population, but it didn't happen. It's just lack of interest. But to address one of the points you made about sacrilege, remember, spring turkey hunting is a modern tactic. Traditionally, historically, it was a fall sport.
That's right. As outlined in the McElhenney book, they talked about mostly in the fall and using rifles back then.
Yeah, and if you read Rutledge or the Colonel, some of those great turkey books.
Have you spent much time hunting turkeys in the fall, Bob?
Not a lot. I was a little bit more gung ho when we first had the season. I'm not mad at him anymore. So when I go out, a lot of times it's just I take my shotgun for a walk, and if I run into him, well, I'll do what I have to do to defend myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to the couple of times I did it as a youngster, we would go squirrel hunting until you would bump into the turkeys, and then you would spook them, and then you would set up and wait for them or call and wait for them to come back. It was actually pretty fun. I recommend it.
When we first started, like I said, it was bow only, and I recall I didn't know what the heck I was doing, so I just sort of made it up as I went and got into a spot. There were a bunch of turkeys there, and I thought they were going to come, but they didn't. I had my bow, and I was hiding behind a tree, and I was getting ready, and they started to walk off. So I remembered this thing about bust the flock and call them in. Well, I had been in this awkward position for about 15 minutes, and I decided to get up and run at these turkeys. And I took 2 steps before I realized that my left leg was completely asleep. I went face down into a root.
I'm sure that wasn't the first time that's happened. I bet Lanny's jumped up to step on a neck and realized his legs were asleep.
Oh, I've done all kind of crazy contorted stuff in the turkey woods after turkeys.
Are you planning on getting out in the woods after this is over?
I probably won't make it today because it gets dark early up here.
Oh yeah,
maybe 5 o'clock, and I'm Eastern time, 3:15. So you've taken away one of my
Bobby does that to us all the time.
Yeah, conservation is what
I was planning on going this afternoon.
I was too.
Yeah,
the leading conservationist.
I filled my buck tag, so the pressure is off now.
Oh no!
It's all gravy.
Yeah, just sliding through the season.
Good for you. Well, Bob, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about. I want to learn about what it's like being an outdoor rider through the years, but I'd also like for you to think about all the places you've traveled, from Texas to Alabama and many states in between, deer hunting. And what are some of the things that you may have noticed that some of the gamekeepers were doing on those properties that you said, that's a good idea? I'm going to remember that and share that with people. Just ways that they could make a hunt better, make the hunting better on the property, make the camp better. I know you've noticed some things along the way. I was just hoping you could point some out.
Yeah, that's a thought-provoking question. First and foremost, I think it's just providing more and better food. That's number one. If you have something, it's think of your habitat as a bucket of water, and whatever the lowest hole in the bucket is, that's as high as you can fill that bucket with water. So you find where that lowest hole. If you're missing food, you put food in, and then you go to the next. How is my water? How is my bedding cover? How is my, I've seen places where more open habitat, they left CRP set aside. It's pine plantations and green fields, not a lot of bedding cover. So let a 20-acre field go fallow. And all of a sudden the deer have security cover there. Year-round food, not just attracting deer in the fall so we can kill them, but feeding them through the year, giving them those summer proteins so that the does can nurse their fawns, and the bucks can grow bigger antlers. Things like that.
Yeah. Laney, when you travel, different places like Texas,
yes,
where in Texas they feed cottonseed, and they have these big bales of it, and the deer eat the seed and
cottonseed meal.
Well, I think it's cottonseed.
Cottonseed.
But then you don't see that occur anywhere else. I'm not aware of anybody. I think Mike Chamberlain told me they'd tried doing it in Louisiana, and there may have been some humidity issues, but
we've seen, people brought products to us with that before, and it seems like it's regional how they actually work.
Yeah, could be. Could be. It's just always interesting how different parts of the country.
I love learning what the native browse is, when I go to certain places, because like South Texas is a great example. When you step out in there, you're like, what are these things eating?
Yeah.
And then you see one, it's like, oh my gosh, what are these things eating? But so learning about the native browse, I think it's blackbrush and wahila or something down there has always been intriguing to me. But they got to be different. We're regional. Your tastes are regional. What you've been introduced to. Does everybody like turnip greens?
They should.
They should. Yeah. Maybe they don't. You know what I mean?
So, Bob, do y'all plant food plots up there in Maine?
Yeah, there's not nearly as much as down south. There's a few people that do it. I try my best, but like I said, I have really poor ground, so it's a challenge. But not nearly as popular or widespread up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense about, food being the lowest hole in the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine just about every biologist you ask would say that. I know the couple of times I've had them come to my place over the years and critique my farm. That was what I caught the most lip over, was, not having enough food.
Yeah.
And it's hard to go anywhere in the South without there being good cover.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Bob, can we ask you? This always creates a lot of people have a lot of comments, but let's talk about some of the rifles, what you like and what you're most comfortable with, and let's talk about calibers. Where are your favorites through the years? You've been hunting a long time. What's your go-to?
Oh, that's an easy one. 308.
I knew it.
I started with a 308. In the 70s. I've used a bunch of different guns. I've got a 300 short mag. I've got a 300 mag. I've got a 30-06. But I always end up with my 308.
Notice they're all 30s, too.
All 30 calibers. Look at that, Bobby. Man knows what he's talking about.
What about scopes? What do you like in a scope, Bob?
3 to 9. For the way I hunt, I can, if I decide to get down, walk around a little bit, I'll crank it down to 3 or 4 and do a little still hunting. When I'm sitting in the tree stand, I usually put it up to about 6 until I need to crank it up to 9. And then it's nice to have that 9, that 9 power. I really like the variable over fixed.
Yeah.
Just because of the way I hunt.
I'm betting you're a bolt action guy as well.
I am yeah, absolutely. Yep. My last 308s are all bolts. I had to switch about 10 years ago. I had to switch from shooting right to left-handed, and every gun I owned was right-handed. And finally, my son got sick of listening to me complain, and he went out and bought me an X-Bolt 308 in left hand.
Nice.
Which I absolutely love.
I hit the horns for his son there.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah,
That's a good move.
Yeah, that 308 just seems to be the happy medium. It's got the diameter that we need. Around the office, we say we like 30 caliber, except for Bobby.
Yeah, we do. I don't know if Bobby does.
But Bobby's such a good shot
He's
that
just
it
such
doesn't
a
really
precision
matter.
shooter. That's what
Well,
it
I have a
is.
dog on call, too.
And then the 308 doesn't kick. And then when you put a suppressor on it, it's like you're shooting a 22. I mean, it doesn't kick at all.
The thing I love about it, not to go on about 308, but if 2 inches high at 100, and you're good from 0 to 300. I mean, with kids and everything.
Nobody should be shooting over 250 anyway, unless they practice a lot.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot.
And
it's just, if you look at the ballistics, the 308 is not significantly different from a 30-06. The 30-06 is an older cartridge. And if you take one and put it next to your ear and shake it, you can hear that powder bouncing around because there's a lot of airspace. All they did with the 308 is make it a short action. It's almost the same amount of powder, but there's no airspace in there. It's the same size bullet. If you get a little bit more flexibility, I could go for an accelerator in 125 grains. I usually hunt 150 or 165. I can go up to 200, where with the 270, I don't think you can get past 150 grain.
Probably not.
Bullet.
Yeah, and that's a big bullet for a 270. But so what's your favorite bullet to shoot, Bob?
I was, for a long time, I was using Winchester, I call them sadistic tips, ballistic tips. And I have recently switched over to Noslers because I was at the range with a friend, and he said, try these. And it just seemed to really fit my gun. They just, a match made in heaven, as they say. So
Yeah.
That's what we're shooting.
where I'm at right now.
Yeah, we're Nosler fans ourselves.
Yeah, we're shooting Nosler too.
Bobby likes that old school partition.
Oh man, that Nosler partition is
Good bullet.
It's a good bullet.
Yeah,
it just
Bob.
is.
And the AccuBond and then the sadistic tip.
All right. So I'm thinking back about those Benoits. Weren't they hunting with lever action guns back in the day?
Some were, that's, well, no, I can't say that. It's a very popular gun up here in the North Woods. They call it a brush gun. Open sights, something that you can throw to your shoulder really quick, and theoretically it's going to punch through the brush, although there's been enough studies done that show that it really doesn't matter bullet weight or bullet shape. They're all going to deflect or not deflect about the same rate. But that's sort of been supplanted by mostly the pump, the Remington pump action 30-06, and some of them go to the semi-auto, but most of them, they use that old Jam Master.
Yeah, I've read about them a little bit, and I think they liked that shorter barrel version of the Remington pump that had a 18-inch barrel, and you see the fire come out of the end of the barrel, and then the report is probably way louder than you need, but I guess having that shorter barrel makes it easier to move around in the thick stuff, in the thick woods.
Yeah. Bob, have you played around with any of these suppressors now? Have you put one on a 308?
I haven't. I had a chance a few years ago on a Texas hunt. We played around with a little bit. We shot rifles and shotguns, and it was an eye-opening experience for me, because as they explained it, it's part of it is the recoil, but a big part is just the noise. And if you don't hear that loud noise, you're less apt to flinch. And am I keeping you awake, Lenny?
Yeah.
The less you flinch, the more accurate you're going to be. You get rid of that. You get used to that nice soft push. Your ears aren't ringing, and you're more comfortable with the shot, so you make a better shot.
I think so too. I think it's a little quieter on the property, just noise pollution. I love the idea of them.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they've, in Europe, they've been using them.
Yeah, it's the norm.
Yeah.
Well, I would say if there was a negative, it's that it adds a lot of length to your barrel. It's almost like turkey hunting with a 32-inch barrel on your shotgun. But it's something you can get used to, and now folks are coming out with shorter threaded barrels, to try to accommodate that, which makes a lot of sense. You may lose a 100 feet per second or 200 feet per second, but you're gaining, this is a hunting gun. It's kind of like you shoot different bows for competition versus hunting. And so I've seen a lot of that going on where, they're coming out with 18, even 16-inch barrels in 308 and other rounds to accommodate that length. The length. Yep.
Yeah. So, Bob, if you don't mind me asking, you've kind of referenced having to change over to a left-handed gun. Could you tell about the accident that happened? If somebody listening, it might keep them out of harm's way at some point.
Yeah, it was just one of those stupid things. We were at a Christmas tree burning party, and the host's next-door neighbor broke out a box of leftover fireworks from the previous summer, and it's called a cake box. So it shoots these missiles 300 feet up in the air, and they blow up into a big starburst. Well, the whole thing blew up and started shooting into a crowd of people. Lucky me, I was the one that got hit. Multiple surgeries later, I had no choice. I had no sight in my right eye, so I had to switch to left-handed. And the rifle was probably the easiest because, it's static shooting. You hold it, you look through the scope, you aim. Wing shooting was a challenge. And fortunately, the folks at LL Bean, which is the next town over, invited me over and gave me shooting lessons. Which, if you've never had shooting lessons, get shooting lessons, whether you need them or you think you need them or not. I wish I had done it 50 years ago. I would have been a much better wing shot. But the bow was the toughest. That was the most awkward thing that I've ever done, was to try to draw a compound bow left-handed.
I bet so.
It took a while because I've always shot with two eyes. I would have my right eye looking through the peep, and my left eye would be looking at the animal. And all of a sudden, I can't do that anymore, and I'm using the other eye, and I kept shooting off to the side and just finally bashed my side of my head and said, "Stop doing that. Look at the target and don't look for the animal." And it worked out.
Yeah,
That's a heck of an accomplishment. I mean, to grow up, and to shoot
Yeah.
your whole life right-handed and then have to switch.
It's got to be tough.
That's got to be tough.
Yeah.
And dedicated to the sport. Bob, you might need some shooting lessons.
I know I need some shooting lessons. I'm impressed that you figured out how to shoot the bow left-handed because
Yeah.
if I pick one up, I don't even know that I
if
could draw it back.
one.
Yeah.
I don't shoot it, much less draw it.
So how long of a process was all that, Bob? The healing process. It's probably been tough on you mentally as well.
Yeah, it's at first it took a while, and I won't bore you with all the gory details, but there was a period, I think, of 6 weeks where they just said they put a gas bubble because my retina had detached, so they had to put a gas bubble in to keep I had to lay on my stomach for 6 weeks. I could get up to go to the bathroom, and I could get up to eat. So that was a real mental challenge.
Golly, I bet so.
And then just not knowing what I could do when I came out of this. But the human body and the human mind are incredible instruments. And the healing process, both physically and mentally, if you have the right attitude, you just move past it. And then now I don't think about it unless somebody asks me. I've just gotten used to it. I have no depth perception because you need two eyes for that. So walking down a set of granite steps on a cloudy day is a little bit of a challenge. And occasionally I go to pour a glass of milk and I miss, but otherwise it's just gotten used to it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Human
good for
body's
you.
amazing. It is.
Well, I remember when all that happened, and you were certainly everybody was
Thinking about
praying
it for
for
sure.
you for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also remember when you got your first archery deer, and we were all cheering you on after that.
Let's talk about your career as an outdoor writer. How did that get started, and how do you come up with ideas for articles? How does that whole process start?
Well, I was working for an environmental consulting company as a biologist, and my extended and frequent absences during the fall became a problem with my employer. So we decided it was best that we part ways. I went up, hung my own shingle, and wasn't busy enough, so I started to just throw things at the wall to see what would stick. I got my guide's license, and then I started writing because I had a friend who had done it, and it just started slow, built momentum, and I found that my two big passions in life are three: hunting, fishing, and writing. So when your job is something that you really love, it doesn't seem like a job. And then initially, one of my biggest concerns was how am I going to come up with enough story ideas? But that was never a problem. There's always something out there, and sometimes you have to look a little bit, but most of the time it just comes to me. And when you're a tree stand hunter, you have a lot of time to sit there and think. And, I should probably bring a laptop because a lot of times I'll sit for 3 or 4 hours and I'll have a story completely written. And I got to get home and I got to get in front of the keyboard and get that down before I forget it all.
Well, I've always loved his editorial works because he's obviously a biologist, and you have this bit of biology flair in everything he does. So that's why he's such a good fit for Gamekeepers.
Yeah, he's perfect. You've been writing for us for a long time.
Yes, well, since the beginning. Before that was what was it, Mossy Oak Hunting the Country?
Yeah. And before that, it was full strut and full draw.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Long time.
Yeah.
That was way before my time.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just a toddler.
Nah.
So what's a day look like for you? Are you
Mitchell, you weren't even alive.
are you waking up? Are you writing half the day and going hunting or fishing the other half? What's a day look like?
Yeah, this time of year, a pretty typical day would be, I've reached that age where I can't remember the last time I set an alarm. I just wake up. Mm-hmm. Come down, have my coffee, a little breakfast, do my crosswords, and then I'm out in the woods. And, depending on the conditions, the day, how serious I want to be about it, it might be a couple hours, it might be 4 hours. Back to the drawing board, in front of the keyboard until I look at my watch and I say, well, it's about time to head back out to the tree stand. And that's pretty much my routine this time of year.
Man, that's tough.
I remember those good
We're
old days.
worried about you.
Yeah. I remember those good old days.
Yeah. Bob, I watch from time to time the show Northwoods Law. The main game wardens, they are serious about what they do.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting show. Have you ever encountered them or had any? I'm not suggesting you've ever broken any laws.
I'm sure he's buddies with a lot of them.
Yeah.
But you ever run into them?
Yeah. I have. I've there was a young fellow moved into town, started his shift in my area, and I sort of took him around, showed him the lay of the land, gave him an idea who he might want to keep an eye on, did a ride along with him, wrote a story. A pretty good rapport for the most part with all of them. If I see something that looks a little questionable, I've got their phone number in my personal directory. I give them a call. It's good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with the MBWFP here.
I grew up scared to death of the game warden, and
I don't know why.
now I've got several of them that are friends, and they're in my phone. And it's when you embrace them, they're there to help. They're not the bad guys I thought they were when I was much younger.
Well, and we've talked about this a lot here, but the term warden, is and I think the laws, the game laws, are written in a way that for the warden to interpret them from a situational perspective. So they're not only a warden of the game, but they're also, there to make judgment calls, because there's a lot of gray area in what we do, there really is. So you have to be able to have a judge of character and have a sense of the local community and really what's going on to really figure out, who is really, trying to take advantage of the resource. So I think they have a bigger responsibility than other law enforcement officers where, if you're going 60 and a 55, it's against the law, but they have an ability and a knowledge base to interpret and to make a more of a judgment call on really what's going on. So they're not to be feared.
Beings.
Yeah.
Everyone's different.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, they're reasonable guys, and if they see that it's an honest mistake, they can use a little discretion.
That's right.
Occasionally, you get that gung ho guy. It's usually a young, just starting out guy who's trying to make a name for himself, and he's going to push it to the letter of the law. But in Maine, there was a little bit of controversy a while back, and kind of the justice system pinned the warden service ears back and said, listen, guys, you need to clean up your act. And that was probably 20, 25 years ago. Since then, I've seen a big difference. They're very professional, but they're reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
They're not out to bust everybody that's, a half an inch short on a trout.
That's right.
That sort of thing. They take the time, they educate, okay, this is what you're doing wrong. I'm going to give you a break, but don't do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if they catch you doing it again, you're going to get a ticket. I mean, that's a perfect example of what a warden. That's right, and you deserve it. That's right.
Yeah.
What? You just live so far away. I'm sure a lot of folks just don't know a lot about Maine and that area. What are the main fisheries? I know I brought up bluefin tuna because I've seen pictures of you out on your boat, holding up fish. And but what else is cool to fish for around there?
Oh, I would say our two sort of cornerstone freshwater species are landlocked salmon and brook trout. They get most of the love. Cold water fisheries prized. We have some. The state has implemented some heritage waters where it's native brook trout only. There's no stocking. Landlocks, this is the scientific name Salmo salar sebago, because of Sebago Lake, which is the biggest lake in southern Maine. That's sort of the dominant species where it all began. And there are other natural populations, but there's been a lot of movement, transplantation. So, those are that's the big attraction, I think, for most people that would come to Maine. We have world-class smallmouth bass fishing.
Huh.
We have largemouth, we have tournaments, but it's just, that's a southern thing. That's not a big deal up here. And then along the coast, it's inshore, it's striped bass. It's about the only inshore game fish we have up here. People fish from the docks for mackerel and pollock. Little dinky fish like that. And then offshore, it's the bluefins.
Mm-hmm.
What are those salmon? What are they compare like to the ocean run salmon? Are they good to eat as well?
Oh yeah, they're very good. It's the same species, but they're landlocked, so they don't have access to unlimited resources. They don't get as big as the sea run Atlantics, but it's a nice, firm, orange pink meat.
Okay,
delicious.
I'm so jealous of having fatty fish.
No doubt about it. We struggle to get.
I wish we could
good
go up there and
salmon.
Catch some. So how many can you catch a day?
It depends on the water.
Okay.
Our fishing regulations are extremely complex, but I think Sebago I mentioned, I think now it's two a day and maybe 16 or 18 inch minimum.
Okay. I've got to get up there and do some salmon fishing at some point.
2 a day sounds like, I'd be over in about an hour,
For a professional fisherman as such as yourself.
Not so much. And we have lake trout too. We call them togue up here. Similar to the salmon, a little bit softer meat. It's great for smoking. It's not as good for table fare, but they get bigger. They'll get 20 plus pounds.
Do y'all have any wolves up there?
No. Since I've been here, there's been 2. There's always people say, "Oh, I saw a wolf," but there was one that was killed by a bear hunter. He was on a guided hunt. He had killed his bear, and he wanted to sit and try to kill a coyote. And he shot this canid. Turns out they knew it was there. It had been hanging around the campground. And when they tested it, the teeth were just perfect, like this animal had never been in the wild. So probably a captive release. And then there was one other that, I don't remember the exact wording, but they said possessed significant DNA that carried the same markers as larger canids from Canada, which is basically saying, it was a wolf. Somehow it had come down from Quebec, crossed the St. Lawrence River, crossed all that farmland, and gotten into the Maine woods. But those are the only 2 confirmed wolves since in the last at least 50 years.
Are you going to ask him, Bobby?
No.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah. He's not going to bite. He may have. His buddy KC might be a better person.
He knows what the truth is.
Yeah. Of course, Lanny wants to ask you about if you've seen any panthers.
I didn't know. No. You were going to ask about if you've seen any long-tailed cats.
I saw one. It was Bigfoot was riding it.
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Yeah. All right, Bob. Why don't we ask him the trivia question, Bob?
Okay.
I got a bet. I bet he nails it.
Yeah. Well, let's see here. We got Bob. We cherry picked a trivia question just for you. I'm gonna turn it over to Mitchell. Mitchell, your mic on?
Is this trivia question brought to us by anyone?
By our buddies at the Peanut Patch.
Boiled peanuts, Bob. We love boiled peanuts. When you come down and hunt with KC, I'm sure you have experienced boiled peanuts at some point in your career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
He is a well-traveled human.
He is.
Well, with the trivia question, I also got a user review.
Oh, somebody's listening.
B Mason 3232. He said, "Great show. Love the podcast. I've listened long enough to feel like I'm part of the crew."
Oh,
How about that?
all right.
Yeah.
That is nice. We do get folks that call in frequently, and they're like, "I feel like I know you."
I wish we could put a couple of couches over here and we could invite folks
A
to
little
come.
studio audience.
Yeah, and maybe they
Bring us lunch.
Well, or maybe they make a donation to Gamekeeper grants and they get to sit in here and
heckle us
and ask questions and be a part of something. But we ought to figure that out.
Well, yeah.
You think anybody would actually want to come hang out with us?
Probably not.
We should do a live show. We really should one day.
Let's figure out, Mitchell. Let's figure out how to do
Mitchell,
a live show.
put that on the things to do list over there.
It's on it.
All right.
All right, let's go, Mitchell.
Live from shot.
There you go.
Yeah, we don't like
I
to
think
go
we
to
don't like to go to Shouting More live from the right place.
Yeah, we're
from
scared of diseases.
the Ponderosa.
I don't know about that. But we're scared of diseases, Bob.
We've been using COVID since that excuse came out to not do anything.
Dudley still wears a mask everywhere he goes.
Even when I drive by myself or on the tractor.
All right, Mitch.
That's probably appreciated.
And the tractor is for sure.
So in Maine, what year was the first moose season after reintroduction?
Oh, I hate questions with years. But I'm going to say, I'm going to take a wild guess. Let's say 1987.
Little less.
You mean more recent?
Farther back. I'll say
Farther
that way.
back. Oh, 78?
A little newer.
Hot and cold.
Somewhere in between. Somewhere in
Yeah,
between.
somewhere in between.
He
got
killed
it.
I told you he'd get it right.
Yeah, what was the year, Mitchell?
It was 1980.
1980.
And when I was researching it, it was pretty cool. It was it was on TV. It was in an auditorium, and they had a big wheel that they threw a bunch of names in, spun it around, had a Boy Scout take it out and say, with Scout's honor, this is the guy who got, or this is the person who got drawn for a moose tag.
Wow, the first one.
The first one.
1980.
Bob, you didn't go to that event?
No, I didn't. I was living elsewhere at that point.
Yeah. Scout's honor. How about
Scout's
that?
honor.
Scout's honor.
Well, we hear so much. Maine is an interesting state.
Very.
From fishing to hunting to just recreational, it's
To lots of land.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
just
it's
it
a
seems
giant
like
state,
another
too.
country to me. It's so far away.
yeah. I'd love to go to see LL Bean at some point.
Go up there and see our buddy Bill.
Freeport.
And those brook trout he mentioned, those are such beautiful fish.
You'd like to hold one.
They are so colorful. Yeah, I'd like to have one.
I bet that's on Jesse's bucket list.
Probably is.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
well, there's a lot of things that are different, but I think one thing that really stands out that's probably exceptional is we have this tradition of implied consent. So if the land isn't posted, you can go on it and you can hunt on it and you can fish on it. And when our buddy KC came up, he was shocked. He
Oh, I
said,
bet he
"Wow,
was."
you mean I can just pull over on the side of the road and go fish that stream right there, right yonder?" And I said, "Sure. If there's not a posted sign, you can fish all the way down that stream, any stream in the state."
So have you seen the amount of people posting their land go up?
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting.
do they put up signs or paint a post purple?
Yeah,
or
in
what,
there.
what-
Yeah.
Mostly signs. It's some sort of natural attrition, but COVID didn't do us any favors. There's been this huge egress from urban areas to the south out into the country. A lot more people working at home. So they
Yeah.
move up here from Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, to get away from the hectic, crowded, and they come up here and they make it hectic and crowded.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody up in Idaho, and they were saying it's just taken off. I can't pronounce it. It's a French name, like Coeur d'Alene or something. They said it's just been taken over by people from California and elsewhere. Like Bob said, just getting away from the city life.
Yeah.
Well, Bob, you're a really interesting person.
Yes.
We've enjoyed your time here today. We've enjoyed you for many years.
Would you say he's maybe the third most interesting man in the world?
Yeah. Definitely.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got any nice things to say about us, Bob?
Well, I'll have to lower it down to the third level, but you guys, like we said before, I've known you guys for a long time. It's got to be 20, 25 years anyway.
Easy.
And whenever I'm around the Mossy Oak people, I always feel like I'm part of the family.
Yeah.
You guys are always so welcoming and warm and friendly, and I really appreciate that.
Bob was the first guy that helped me understand my southern dialect. And he said, "Y'all just all sound like you got marbles in your mouth." And you'd appreciate this, Bob, with our great sponsor, the Peanut Patch. we have been talking a lot about boiled peanuts, and we've had to modify our pronunciation. And I'll let you guess what they thought we were saying, but it was definitely not boiled peanuts. It's more like...
No, I know, because when Bobby said it, I was like, what?
So we've been working really hard on that for the peanut patch.
Yeah, Daniel Hayes took me on this trip to the New York City last week, and I had a great time. But funny, I was getting on the elevator, and all I said was 7th floor, please.
Yeah.
And this lady was like, where in the South are you from? She didn't say it like that, but and I said Mississippi, and everybody was like, "Oh, MISSI crooked." Like, that's how we learn how to spell it.
Crooked letter, humpback eye. That's right.
But where are you from in the South?
Yeah.
How about that?
And I didn't think I had a big Southern dialect, but apparently I do.
Oh yeah. I think you probably got a pretty mild one compared to some around here, but if you get out of the county here, it's pretty deep.
People notice you.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a learning experience for me, too. I had to learn that y'all is singular and all y'all is plural.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's exactly correct.
It's good stuff. We need
Bob,
to get back together.
We did, and we appreciate it. And like Dudley said, when he sends his articles in, there every T is crossed and I is dotted and punctuation is perfect.
No spell check needed.
No. Somebody trained you well, Bob.
I've had some good mentors over the years.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Please come down here and go deer hunting with Lanny.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime. I promise you that, Bob.
We'll let you wear the horn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have me back again soon. This was fun.
Good deal.
Let's do it.
We'll do it. Yep. Well, looking around the room, I think that's it, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has. No doubt about it.
Why don't you say goodbye, Dudley?
Goodbye, Dudley.
Get us out of here, Mitchell.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper podcast. And be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine, and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronnie Cuz Strickland.